how to set up a budget in BQE Core. Now, if you happen to catch this just on YouTube, you definitely want to check the description for the link to read the write-up to get the full context of what I'm talking about, what I'm showing you here. We're using the example of an accounting or bookkeeping firm who's setting up a budget for an annual bookkeeping engagement. And here are the assumptions. We're charging $1,500 a month, so it's $18,000 a year. Our labor costs are a bookkeeper at 30% of that revenue and a manager at 10% to review the bookkeeper's work. And then we have some apps with a total cost annually of $1,674 for total expenses of $8,874 with a projected profit based on the above of $9,126. Now, as you can see, I can create gorgeous spreadsheets, and I can even do them in Google Sheets, which is exactly what you're looking at here. But after I've created this, and I actually kind of suggest doing something like this initially to get it all laid out, it helps me a lot to see it like this before I go into what I'm going to show you next, which is BQE Core to set up the budget. So you might be wondering, well, if I have this, what do I need to set it up in Core for? Well, here's the thing. This may look gorgeous, but in order to compare this with the actual results, in order to compare the actual costs of the labor against this budgeted cost, in order to compare the actual cost of the apps that I'm using with these budgeted costs, I'm going to need something else, right? I could build another template in here where I could track the actual, and then I've got to get the data into that template that I've built, and it's just not efficient, not even remotely efficient. So I like doing this to lay it all out so that when I get into a product like BQE Core, it becomes really, really easy to set it up. Now we're going to need a few things before we can set up the budget, right? I need to make sure that I have some service items for the bookkeeper and the manager, labor-based items. So let's go to lists, and we're calling them task items here. And remember, all this language is customizable, right? And so here I have senior nerd, which is kind of like my manager, right? And then I have staff nerd, we'll call it, okay, for the staff bookkeeping rate. Now, I've got billing rates and cost rates in here, but remember, on an engagement like this, really none of that applies, right? Because we're going to be billing the client a flat fee, so there's no billing rate, or the billing rate doesn't matter, right? Because their client's getting charged the same. And the cost rate, if you're paying your bookkeeper by the hour, now you have a challenge, and again, a situation where BQE Core is going to become even that much more critical to be using here, because you would want to make sure that the cost based on the hours that the bookkeeper puts in doesn't get over the $5,400, and same with the manager. You want to make sure their cost doesn't get over $1,800. But I mentioned this in the write-up. I'm going to throw it out there here in the video. Consider this. Pay them based on the percentage so that you're hedged. You know that $5,400 is all you're ever paying them for this job, and $1,800 is all you're ever paying the manager for this job. And you might say, blasphemy, nobody does that. And the answer is that's not true. I'm doing it. I do it in my own firm, and it works beautifully because now the bookkeepers have incentive to work more efficiently, and they're reaping what they sow very literally, right? It puts them in that mindset where they're motivated to work more efficiently, because the more efficiently they work, the more jobs they can take on, and the more money they can make. There's no ceiling, theoretically, on how much money they can make in any given year. So lots of reasons why this model and paying them on the basis of the percentage works much better than traditional compensation models. So we've got what we need set up in terms of the task items. Let's go to the expense items. And what I can do here is I can create, if I wanted to, a separate expense item for each app. But for now, in the interest of keeping it simple, I'm just going to create one expense item called apps. Subcode will also call apps, right? And it's fine, the billable, whatever. This is for a budget that I'm using, so we're going to say the annual cost is $1,674. See, this is why I like having it laid out like this, because it makes it really easy for me to think through in terms of what I want to do in this part. So the cost is $1,674. There's no markup. It's included. Remember, clients are being charged a flat fee. I'm actually even going to uncheck billable here, and let's click done. Now let's go over to engagements, and then we'll create a new budget. And I'll click create new from scratch. Okay, and we'll call this for the budget ID annual bookkeeping. And let's get that properly capitalized. And there it is. And the created by is going to be me, of course. All right, I'm not going to bother with a fee schedule just now. Let's hit save. And now I've made this pretty simple because I just want to illustrate how to use the screens. Obviously, once you know how to do what I'm showing you, even with an infinitely more complex budget, it's pretty straightforward. You're going to set up your budget, and then you're going to add your services and expenses that need to get included in that budget. So the resource could be, I don't care, any employee. The activity is going to be the bookkeeper, right? And I can create employee groups for just bookkeepers, right? But for now, again, I'm trying to keep it simple. The cost rate is going to be $5,400. Right, and that's for the entire year, and there is no bill rate because again, this is meant to be tracked based on flat fee pricing to the client. So I'm not billing this back. We'll click done. Okay, and then the other thing I need is my manager. So again, I'll do all employees, and this is going to be senior nerd, and the cost rate on this one was going to be $1,800. Okay, so that's my annual bookkeeping budget right here. Then we go to expenses. And the resource, again, I don't care, all employees. The expense is going to be apps, and it should be there. So now we've got these included in the budget. So now I have the budget all set up. I've got my services based on the senior and the staff level. I've got my expenses based on the apps. Real simple. Now let's go over to an engagement. I'll go into my Mike Milan engagement, and we're going to go to billing options, and we're going to assign the annual bookkeeping budget to him. And what this will do is it will enable me to track my actual costs. When I pay my bookkeepers and I assign that portion of their salary, whatever I'm paying them, to this job, it will get tracked against the budget. So then I can run reports that help me make sure that I haven't somehow gone over budget on any of these items. Same with the cost of the apps. I know that that app was that app cost of $1,674 was based on this. Heck, I could even probably copy and paste this table, or somehow copy and paste the information to give me the details, or I could actually attach it as a document. How about that now? So if I wanted to attach this Google Sheet where I laid it all out to the budget, let's go back to engagements. Let's go to budgets. This is what I love about apps like this, especially where we're going sort of cloud to cloud. Let me go into the budget. We have a documents area here. And then I want to add a document, and I want to do it from Google Drive. And let's browse Google Drive, and it should be able to come up with my recent documents first. If not, I can certainly come in here and just copy and paste the title. Should find it right away. There it is. And boom, so now I've got the document attached. So right attached to the budget, I have the details for how I came up with that. How cool is that? That's awesome. I love that. My friends, this is how you set up a budget in BQE Core, and why you should, because now you have the accounting application that's going to be able to track your actual expenses against your budget to make sure that you don't eat up this profitability number really fast. As always, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, send me your emails, post them below, and I look forward to getting them and answering them. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you on the web.